In 1985, the most respected company in Silicon Valley was quietly dying. And everyone who worked there knew it. They just couldn't say it out loud. Intel, the company that invented the memory chip market, getting beaten so badly by Japanese rivals that profits fell from nearly $200 million to almost nothing in a single year. Here is the part that should bother you. They didn't lack data. They didn't lack smart people. What they lacked for almost a year was the willingness to say the obvious thing. A whole year of brilliant people sitting in rooms, building business cases to defend a decision that was killing them. Because saying it out loud meant admitting they'd been wrong about who they were. If you ever sat in a meeting where everyone clearly knows the answer and nobody will reach for it, you already understand Intel in 1985. So here is the question I want to build the next few weeks around. How does any team break a deadlock where team members, and in Intel's case nearly everyone, privately knows the answer, but nobody will voice the problem? Most people assume the unlock is more analysis, a better deck, a louder boss. It's not. What finally cracked Intel open wasn't a strategy, it was a question. Mid-1985, Andy Grove is in his office with CEO Gordon Moore, both exhausted, and Grove asks something strange. If we got kicked out and the board brought in a new CEO, what would he or she do? Moore doesn't hesitate. He'd get us out of memory. And Grove just looks at him and says, so why don't you and I just walk out the door, come back in, and do it ourselves? Nothing in the data changed. What changed was the obvious had reached the decision makers and was called out. For one sentence, they stopped being the founders in love with their own creation and became two outsiders with nothing to protect. And here is what almost nobody notices. By the time those two had that famous conversation, the pivot had already started. Without them, months earlier, middle managers on the factory floor had quietly been moving production toward microprocessors. The org voted with resources before the leaders voted with words. Hold on to that. It comes back and it changes everything, because the man who walked Intel through this is the same man the phrase disagree and commit is often attributed to. Argue hard, and then once the call is made, everyone gets behind it, especially the people who lost the argument. That's the engine of the pivot stage in my program. And in this 3 video series, I'm walking you through all 5 phases of it. Today, the first 2 phases. Conditions. When nobody says anything at all, most teams never disagree and commit because they never genuinely disagree. They agree in the room and they disagree in the corridor. And deliberation. That year of wondering that looked like failure at Intel but wasn't. It let every objection get said so that when the decision finally came, the production had secretly shifted and the customers just shrugged and said, "Took you long enough." Next time, what actually flips a team from still debating to deciding, and the difference between deciding something and committing to it. They're not the same thing, and the gap between them is where most pivots quietly die. I tell you about one of my failures. Full write-ups in the link. I'll see you in part 2.